of readings. I never know, as I've said before, whether the week begins on Sunday or Monday. Well, the work week for sure in the West begins on a Monday. So here we go. It's called, let me see, it's not called that one. It's called the Hallway Experience. The first quote, funnily enough, is from Emma Curtis Hopkins. I've been reading Emma Curtis Hopkins for our upcoming class this evening on Emma Curtis Hopkins. What does she say? She said, attend to your task as you settle your faith. Attend to your task as you settle your faith. And Ernest Holmes says, wait for the idea. It may not come at first, but you must be patient, never doubting, waiting in faith. It will come. And this is from Rev Michael Gott, who says, I think we've all heard the expression, when one door closes, another door opens. So it may seem cliched, but in my experience, it's true. When I've been disappointed, when I've been thwarted by circumstances in getting where I wanted to be, guess what? Another opportunity has always presented itself. He says, sometimes this has indeed taken time. I've had to remain in that hallway between the closed doors for a long time. Sometimes for a long, long time. In recovery, I received some instruction for what to do in these hallway experiences, i.e. the waiting time. A wise person told me, simply sweep the floor and clean out the whole closet. What they meant was to attend to my own spiritual health and inventory. This wasn't always easy for me. I've always been goal-oriented and a success-seeking individual. If things aren't moving toward my desired outcome, I tend to get restless, irritable, and disappointed. He says, and also discontented. But this practice of checking in on my own spiritual well-being and keeping to my practice serves me incredibly well. The ancient writer of the book of Isaiah instructs us to wait upon the Lord. The language may feel out of date to our modern ears, but the wisdom is sound. When we learn to be still and listen within, we will find that we spin our wheels less and that our actions become more aligned with our soul's purpose. And we might even find that we have the capacity to simply rest. Most of us could use a deep, soulful, and restorative spiritual rest, especially nowadays. There's lots of expressions that have been used in the past for this same thing. And one of the hardest things is indeed waiting. You know, as kids, we know this. I mean, if you're waiting for Santa Claus, or when I was a kid, Father Christmas, to come and put the presents there, then it can seem an incredibly long wait. Same thing at Easter. You know, we always used to have to fast for Lent. And in my case, it usually involved, amongst other things, giving up sweet things, which was kind of a big deal to me. So I would get really impatient when we got into Holy Week, which is the last week of Lent before Easter. But the waiting was always worth it. And the thing, there's a whole bunch of expressions that tell us the same thing, but the bottom line is this. If we have faith, if we truly believe that what we put into prayer is going to come about, then we should also realize that the timeline for it manifesting isn't ours. It's to a power greater than we are. And why? Because that power knows exactly when we will best be able to use whatever it is that we are holding in prayer. And the best way to actually practice being able to do this waiting is, as Rev Michael Gott says, to do our spiritual practice, because then our spiritual muscle becomes stronger and we're much more able to do this. But as I said, the real truth behind all this is that timing is not ours. Just as I said yesterday, the idea of the how something's going to happen, that's not ours either. Ours is the what. What do we want? The how and the timing are up to Spirit. And as human beings, it's easy for us to get involved in trying to figure out the how. And it's also easy for us as human beings to get impatient and to want it now. I've got a friend who always wants to do things now, even if things have been arranged to be done at a certain time. And she gets impatient and she'll tell her partner, I want it now. I want to go now. I don't want to wait another 2 hours. I want to go now. And irrespective of who's involved in the arrangement, she wants to go now. And he usually caves in and she goes now. But it's not a good spiritual practice. It doesn't build a spiritual muscle. So that's it, really. He gives us really 2 long affirmations. I stand still with the deep faith that my good is revealed in all situations in my life. I rest in the awareness that I'm supported, guided, and loved by life. And you can substitute life for God, Spirit, universe, the ground of all being, whatever actually works for you. So I'm knowing that this season, each of us has the spiritual muscle to allow Spirit to deliver to us what it is we want at the perfect time and in the perfect circumstances and in the perfect way. And I release this word with gratitude into a divine law that always says yes, and so it is. And please look out for my colleague, Reverend Lisa Ryan, tomorrow morning, 9:15. Look out for me on whatever social media you see me on. So until next time, namaste.